Welcome everyone. Once again, it's that time of the week. It's time to get dirt track racing here with the VDRA Late Model Series, this time at Knoxville Raceway for round number 17 of their season. We are starting to get into late stages out of 24 rounds. A couple rounds left to go. Travis Beckner at the top of the standings, showing that he's definitely the man to beat in this championship. But heading to these last couple of races, a couple new faces in the winner's column. Can anyone stop Travis Beckner's stretch of dominance? We'll find out in 50 laps by the end of tonight. My name is Finney DeCuna here with Connor Horn as always. And Connor, glad as always to have you back with me in the booth.
This should be a pretty interesting one for sure. Pretty excited. I'm sure Travis Beckner's excited because he's top of the board with a 62-point lead over Jaden Freiberger. But it's going to be a little bit of an interesting one. Don't really know what to expect from Knoxville Hawkeye Classic. You know, these cars a little bit different from what we usually see. We usually see the sprint car racing happening here. But we're going to do the late models today at a 82 or 83 degree air temp racetrack. We'll see how it develops. We'll see how it changes. Could be a tough one. Track position could be at a premium, but just never know.
Yeah, you never quite know. It really is going to be interesting to see how the track plays out over the course of the race with these cars so heavy, the way they compact dirt. You can already see in practice how compact it is in the entries of these corners. As practice is just coming to an end, we're going to take a chance to see these drivers get out there and get to qualifying. And like we alluded to, qualifying looking like it might be very important for these drivers to get out there and perform. Even with a slightly smaller field, it still is going to be, I think, a little bit tough to pass out there, and which is crazy because this track is so wide.
Wide, but you just don't really end up using a lot of it when the speeds are as high as they are. I mean, you're not seeing a lot of off-throttle time. You're going to be working the throttle just to get the car pointed correctly, sure, but you're still going to see most of the time in the throttle. These drivers are going to be in the throttle hard down in turn number 1, turn number 3. Saw him practice, Travis Beckner. Even at the end of practice, some of his fastest laps, he's going 118 in the turn 1, and he's slowing down to only about 80 miles an hour in the corners. We might see that top come in, but either way, when the bottom's the only lane, it's going to be hard to pass, and when the top becomes the main lane, it's going to be hard to pass. So you need to qualify well and have a really good heat.
You can see, look at Travis Beckner riding right against the berm on the inside, that little apron that kind of exists in on the entry or in the middle of these turns. You see right there, that's just about where you want to be here with the fresh dirt. Down in qualifying, shortest way around, typically the fastest way around, and for Travis Beckner, that's going to put him up in first as the first few drivers come across the line.
He's over a tenth and a half faster than Carter Coop, who currently 6th second, and he's even putting the left front on that berm on the bottom of the racetrack. No wall to contest with down there. Brent Carey trying to put his best time down. As you can see him working that wheel. Beckner's second lap did not count. Carey's up the third with a 9.60 or 9.61. Bryce Senesak's up the second.
Ryan Swan working his way out at turn 4 across the line for him as Ryan Zabot goes very quick up to second place, overtakes Bryce Senesak, puts him back to third, and as Zabot slides through turns 3 and 4 across the line for him, we'll see how quick it's going to be. It's going to be 17.8, and that's going to be slightly faster, but not quite enough to overtake Travis Beckner. Looking at the next few drivers coming around. Casey Borgmeyer, we've seen some speed out of the 101 here and there, and Jacob Cannon, definitely a driver we want to keep an eye on.
Definitely have to take a look at Cannon and Jake Witherspoon. Both of them pretty much ending their laps at the same time. Cannon just still yet to crack Beckner in this series, but he just did it right there in qualifying at 17.793. Puts him provisional pole for the time being at that 93. Just getting it around the inside. A little bit too much, I would think, there. Caught it a little bit too much with the left front. I'd be shocked if this was faster. To 17.808. It really wasn't that far off compared to what I was thinking it was going to be, but not quite faster. Jake Witherspoon goes 4th, a 9.36 for him.
Jacob Bell out there qualifying, one of the last few drivers to do so. I see Jaden Freiberger in here, has not gone out to qualify just yet. It's not any particular rush. So we'll see if he gets out there before the session's over. 18.1 for Jacob Bell. That's going to put him, I think, almost last at will of the 13 drivers that have put a time down. And
out of the groove.
Yeah, I think that's definitely not helping. We've seen a lot of the faster guys hug in that inside line. Bell about a lane and a half off, and that'll be an okay time for him. 17.9 up to 6, actually better than I thought position wise. Much better on that second lap, so decent run for the 77. Rating on Casey Lakatos and Jaden Freiberger to see if they're going to get out there and get a time down as qualifying is slowly coming to an end. But Jacob Cannon taking provisional pole, and I'm trying to check before this ends how many poles he has beforehand. Where is he?
I believe he has one.
You are correct with that. He has one pole to his name. So unless we see a flyer out of Jaden Freiberger, who's the biggest challenger, I would say, for pole, and out of the last two, it should be Jacob Cannon with potentially pole number 2. We'll see as Freiberger goes way up by the wall.
Even with how flat this track is, you're still going to get a little running up there out of the corner from my very little experience at this track. I think the only time I've seriously ran here was in the trucks, and that was because it was Road to Pro, but the track did not develop the same way. That track was worn out after like 20-30 laps, so we'll see what we get here. Even in only one heat, we should see this group get to the middle maybe pretty easily, as a 18.093 for Freiberger only puts him 13th. He has work to do. Case Licata's also on track. He's in turn 3, ending his first lap, as Freiberger trying to complete a second lap at speed, trying to get up there, have a better start in one of these probably 2 heats to the line. It is a 17.774, and he does go for his away.
And I was just trying to get Jacob Cannon's reaction. He's like, oh no. And just in the last minute, you can see some of the frustration. Could have had a second pole to his name. Both of them will be starting in first for both of their respective heats of the 2 we should be scheduled to have tonight. But what a time at the last second by Freiberger.
Yeah, really strong lap on his second lap, too. It just seems like the second lap's the way to go. And he did not really paint the bottom of the racetrack. He kind of entered very low and drifted it kind of to the middle of the racetrack. Then in turn 3, he clipped the left front in turn 3 on that berm and just kind of let the car hang out of the corner, which seems like just clipping the left front the way to go. It worked for him.
And with that qualifying coming to an end, and we alluded that it might be very important for these drivers to get out there and perform. And it actually looks like we'll be having 3 heats tonight. First time in a while we've had that, with 15 cars entered. And we'll get out there, so it'll be slightly smaller heats, more chance for these guys to shine. And as they line up on pit road, let's get through your lineup for heat number 1. Starting on pole for this will be Jaden Freiberger in the 24, the great time down. Ryan Zabel will be lined up next to him, starting in second place. Jacob Bell lined up in third in the inside in the 77 machine, with David Weiser to his outside in the 29. And then rounding out your field of 5, it'll be the 101, Casey Borgmeyer.
I wouldn't say it's jump scare David Weishart's name, but I forgot he was in this series. He hasn't ran since Fairbury about 3 weeks ago. He got 7th.
I think before then, I don't think he's made a start yet. That was his first start of the series. So glad to see him out here and on the dirt. And we'll see how you can do here at Knoxville. Yeah, I gotta admit, it was only about 2 to 3 years ago that I realized this track was in Knoxville, Iowa, not Knoxville, Tennessee.
I always figured it was not in Tennessee because it just didn't look like it was in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Well, see, to me, the Midwest, and I shouldn't say, is Iowa really the Midwest? Is that part of the Midwest?
I think so.
I don't know what else would be. The Midwest, part of the Midwest and parts of the South look similar to me, so being a New Yorker. So to me, I never really picked up on it.
I think it counts. I don't know what else it would be.
Let's take a look at these drivers entering turn 3. Pace truck will be off to the inside. Field and control of Jaden Freiberger, and we'll see them get off and get away here for the first of 3 heats tonight. Off he goes. Not flying to the start, rolling there as we are green here for heat number 1.
It's going to be pretty quick, and you're going to see this track develop a lot differently over these 3 heats. You'll see that groove probably get to the middle. We might see drivers test the top side even in this heat, but definitely I think in heat 2 you'll see some drivers try it out. But even in turns 3 and 4 on lap 1, you're seeing the middle line being used by Freiberger.
And to the inside, Casey Borgmeyer in the back. He will go up to 4th place, but it's not all said and done here at the front. Ryan Zabel up in behind the 24 Freiberger, just a lane offset to the outside, trying to see if he can find a way around Freiberger.
Like
Freiberger messed up. Sorry to go off. Freiberger missed up turn 4. There goes Zabel with a bit of a punt into turn 1, moves the 24 out of the way.
And you gotta be a little aggressive when the speeds are this high. Someone makes a mistake, you have to try to take advantage of it, and he did just that, puts himself to the lead. But Freiberger got a little bit of a better run through 3 and 4, but couldn't quite hold that run.
And Just when we thought it might be boring, it's going to get interesting here. See Freiberger up almost on top of the berm. I think that might have cost him some speed. Ooh, almost ends up in the wall, but Zabot showing some really strong speed here.
Yeah, Freiberger trying to maybe test some lines a little bit, just got a little bit too squirrely, and that's all Zabot needed to get by, is kind of being chased down a little bit by Jacob Bell, but he's still not quite in range as Freiberger gained a lot of time in turn 1 right there.
Getting a lot of time right up in behind him, trying to get a purchase point to the inside. There goes Zabot up high, Jaden Freiberger to the inside.
And he tried to get to the outside, get a better run, but he couldn't quite do it. Now Freiberger's got that positioning on the inside. He's going to pull a bit of a slow slide job. It's what you got to do, and the 10's out of this lane, out of the groove, I should say. Freiberger's got it back.
And a great pass from the 24 up to first place. He'll go once again. Zabot trying to see if he can rebound anything across the line. 2 laps to go.
2 to go, and all the other positions, or at least P3's kind of decided right now. Borgmeyer Weishart still going at it for the 4th position, as this is not over. Zabot gained a little bit through 1 and 2. Freiberger, his left run across that berm once again, as Zabot locked in and got a little bit closer out of 4.
White flag in the air, 1 more lap to go. Freiberger way up over the berm, pushes him to the outside. Zabot in the 10, almost turning the 24 on the exit. Tries to see if he can get around to the inside. He can't. Freiberger again holds up in the middle of the turn. Zabot comes back to the inside, a bump out of turn 3 and across the line. It'll be Freiberger by a nose ahead of the 10.
No, and he's got a damaged race car to go with it. Was not expecting the punt and turn, but it would have finished. Freiberger gets it done. Thought he lost it for good there, but got it back with a strong move.
Oh boy, that definitely deserves a replay. We'll take a look at that. There's the punt right there, and across the line right there they go. The 10 trying to hold up the 24. Well, you know, you got a brand new race car for the rest of the night, but trying to see if you can get something going there. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. So it'll be the 24 over the 10 heading into the race, and we'll see maybe if the admin's not going to be particularly happy with that at the end. We'll see if they make a ruling.
It was interesting just looking at it. It looked like, I think Freiberger was not going up to the way high side, and I think he was trying to chop the 10 a little bit, and the 10 was trying to get up the track a little bit. So I think they went for the same piece of real estate, and we'll see how that's ruled possible. We've got a second heat to go with, and we'll see if this track changes a little bit. Didn't seem too bad there, but also seemed like we started in the middle of the racetrack before going to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, we'll see how the transition. That's going to be definitely fun to see, just the way the racetrack's going to change over the course, especially with how flat it is. Not a lot of banking, 7 degrees of banking when I checked, so not a lot for these drivers to work with. But if I will say, if Heat 2 or really any of the rest of the races tonight are going to be as exciting as Heat 1, we're going to be in for a show. And leading the show for Heat number 2, it'll be Jacob Cannon on point in the number 93. Next to him, Jake Witherspoon in the 04 in second place. That's a solid front row right there. Brent Bucari lined up in third in the 35 in row number 2, with Brad Slaughter to his outside in the number 8 machine. And rounding out your field of 5 will be the 20 of Ryan Swan.
See what happens here. Track doesn't really look that worn out. We saw, or we really heard in that first heat how much on throttle time there is before this track kind of wears out a little bit. You can see a little bit of loose dirt in the middle of the racetrack. That's what you'll see most of these cars probably aiming for at the very start. Step bottom doesn't look too worn out quite yet. You'll probably still see the front runners try down there as well, but we'll see what we get here.
Let's indeed see what we get here. The field lineup tucked right in behind the pace truck, as it's going to jump over the berm, head to the infield, and get going here. For heat number 2, Cannon off and away immediately. Green flag in the air here at Knoxville for heat number 2.
Much faster start. Last time the leader kind of rolled at 30 miles an hour before going. That time it was 40 miles an hour. Oh, a little bit of a wall for Carter Coop, Brad Slaughter. They're going to go side by side for third. Slaughter using that berm to his advantage, but can't quite get the grip. Slides up almost into the 35 as the top 2 get away.
Top 2 start to break away. Ryan Swan taking advantage of the 8's mistake, hitting that berm. We saw Zabot got messed up by that. Here comes Brad Slaughter back to the inside, trying to make a move.
Oh. A little bit of contact there. He forced Carter Coop up out of the groove, almost into the outside wall, or I guess the outside, whatever you call it, the guardrail up there, almost knocked it down. Carter Coop not happy with that, gave the 8 a little bit of a tap into turn number 1 as Witherspoon took a look to the inside of Cannon, but he's not quite there as the battle right now is for 4th.
Taking a look back at these guys here as we're approaching halfway. You mentioned the top 2 breaking away, and Witherspoon trying to have a look.
Oh! Sorry, Swan almost got booted at that time. I said Carter Coop. I was wrong. It's Ryan Swan in the 20, but he got a little bit of a boot from me to Brad Slaughter. These two are having quite the match for P4.
Trying to have a look, trying to find a way. Can't quite get there. Jake Witherspoon, meanwhile, trying to catch up to Jacob Cannon in the 93, has a slight look to the inside.
Cannon a little bit faster through the center. 0-4, at least in 3 and 4, kind of gained it back on exit, but was not as fast on corner exit that time. You can see how far the groove has moved up.
You can see him already trying to get into that loose gravel to defend that outside, get the runs off the corner to prevent the 0-4, even if he gets to the inside, to prevent him from really making anything of it. So far, so good, but I imagine Witherspoon, he's waiting for that moment of strike here as we're coming to 2 to go.
Slaughter hit the wall pretty good, but he's still going strong. You can see the 0-4 Witherspoon. He's trying to enter high, exit low, but it seems like that bottom of the racetrack maybe a little bit too slick right now to make that work. Him and Cannon kind of doing it. Cannon kind of shadowing what the 0-4 is doing, just trying to defend any possible move to get this heat victory.
And here they come sliding through turn 4. White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go. For these drivers to work around, Witherspoon look to the inside. Cannon leaving that door open. That could be dangerous, but is Witherspoon able to get there, make a dive? He will not. Tries to look to the outside. Some last second push to the end, but it won't be enough. Jacob Cannon will come out of turn 4 to the victory in heat number 2. Witherspoon, Punkari, Slaughter Jr., and Swan.
And Ryan Swan at some point hit the outside wall hard enough to get his spoiler knocked off, but he'll get P5 regardless, and we saw how that track developed right there. We saw us pretty much get, I don't know, I guess the 3rd groove. We technically have 4 grooves, although you'll very likely not see 4 wide tonight, but you could probably make a 4th groove up there, and we might see drivers get pretty close to that wall, especially with a heat that has Travis Beckner in it.
Yeah, we'll see how this one will play out. Close near the front, not enough for Witherspoon to make a move, but following in the tire tracks, as we take a look down to the grid for our 3rd and final heat of the evening. Starting on pole, it'll be Travis Beckner in the 27 machine. Lined up next to him, Bryce Senizak, a decent qualifying effort for the 09. Will be starting in 2nd place for this heat. Carter Coop in 52, lined up in 3rd place. Next to him will be Joseph Swan in the number 1 machine. And rounding out your field of 5, it'll be Casey Lakatos in the 13 car.
Yeah, Lakatos, one of the few drivers in the series who's ran every race. He's 11th in points. Same thing for Senizak, 4th in points. And then Borgmeyer, 3rd points. So what a surprise. It pays off to run every race in points. Who would have thought that? It also pays to win, and Travis Beckner's shown us that. He's only missed, I believe, 1 race anyways.
Yeah. The 2 leaders in the point, both of them have missed 1 race each, and then Borgmeyer and Senizak. And Senizak, too, they're up in 4th place. Again, also really benefiting from just showing up to every single race, getting every point he can. But again, this man there, speaking of points, everyone chasing this man right here, Travis Beckner. He is over 2 points lead in the points. I believe it's 62 to his name. So he's got 2 races of a head start for the rest of these guys in this final stretch of the season. We'll see if he can keep that going.
It's with a pretty good launch right here, if he can just get away and not have to deal with Senizak.
You're waiting for the last possible second. Almost 3 wide start there. Very messy start here for these drivers. Green flag in the air as Joseph Swan will take advantage, go from 5th.
Whoa! Senizak way up the racetrack there.
And he had 2nd place, but that messed him up, so back to 4th he will go. Joseph Swan, he will get a black flag, actually. That I was curious to see if he would get a black flag. Not sure that was iRacing or the admins, but that's going to be unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I mean, he passed the 52 before the line.
That's what I figured.
Actually, let Carter Coop kind of lifted so he'd get that penalty, but either way, I don't think that penalty will stand. And you can kind of play games on a restart, and I think everyone who's not in this heat has also taken note of what Travis Beckner just did in case he gets the lead.
I think Carter Coop's a little bit annoyed because he's wondering why he's blocking him as Carter Coop tries to find a move to the inside because he wants to have a chance to maybe get up to Beckner. At the very least, should be in 2nd, but now he's got to look in his mirror. Here comes Bryce Senizak back to the inside.
Just wanted to serve this penalty. I assume he'll be DQ'd from the heat. So effectively, Carter Coop is going to be in the 2nd position, although he's going to dive to the inside like it's 4th position anyways, as there's contact for that spot. Beckner's away from all this as there's even more contact and even more contact.
Yeah, and Carter Coop, that frustration showing again, feels like the one has nothing really to race for. He's going to be starting from the back of the field anyway with that. Ooh, as he cuts the nose off of Bryce Center.
Yeah.
Oh, and goes back into the 52. Doesn't take him out, though. He still slides through the corner. 3 wide contact again amongst all 3 of them, entering turn 3.
If Senesac's smart, he'll just back out and let these two hit each other. That was pretty obvious what Joseph Swan did in the turn number 1. Carter Coop still got the spot. Here comes Lakatos. Swan's trying to get him back, but Lakatos is already at the inside.
Lakatos trying to take advantage of the situation. He doesn't have the speed as he gets flanked on either side. Gets pushed back from 3rd to 5th. As Bryce Senesac takes the spot back, Joseph Swan still in the running. I'm actually kind of amazed he hasn't been kicked off the track for not serving that black flag. As Carter Coop tries to drive away.
Carter Coop trying to get away. He better hope he gets away because there's nothing to race for in front of him. It's already about a straightaway lead for Beckner. He's going to take the white flag this time, and Senesac and Lakatos trying to race each other as these drivers running pretty low on the racetrack compared to what I thought we'd see. Beckner still kind of where we saw Jacob Cannon running, and everyone else is a little lower than what I thought they'd be.
Yeah, running a little bit lower in this heat. Single file and out ahead by over 3 seconds. Travis Beckner comes sliding to the line, and a victory in heat number 3 for Travis Beckner. Carter Coop, Joseph Swan, Bryce Senesac, and Lakatos rounding out the order. Ooh, and that was very, very intense there in the back of that field.
Yeah, Joseph Swan was not happy with Carter Coop about something. Then Coop, I think, was upset about pushing him out of the way. Swan was upset about Coop pushing him out of the way. Then he very clearly went for retaliation. Didn't end up working out. Coop got second regardless.
Yeah, Carter Coop also showing some speed. We'll see. He's been on a pretty decent swing in the last couple of races. Trying to take a look at his record over the last few starts. And yeah, all 4 of his last couple finishes have been in the top 10. And those last races are 6th, 3rd, 7th, and 8th. He's been putting his way forward and closer to the front of the field than compared to the beginning of the season. So definitely, I think one we might have to keep circled in case things go south.
We'll have to wait and see what happens at the front. I mean, you got all these contenders at the front who seem like they hit each other every other week with Beckner, how aggressive he is. Usually we have Clayton Johnson, but he's not in the field tonight. Apparently, Zabo, Freiberger usually pretty clean. Jake Witherspoon still yet to see really what he could do. He was a little contact heavy 2 weeks ago, I suppose. But Jacob Cannon, it's about time, I think. He's pretty darn fast. I think he can go toe to toe with Beckner. He just hasn't come out on top.
Yeah, we'll see what they're going to do again once the green flag drops and start getting out there. And again, we mentioned before the way this track's going to wear out. And even when he comes down to flooring it, because you could theoretically keep your foot to the floor around here, right on board Jacob Cannon. And you can hear from his onboard there pretty much next to no lift in the throttle. Maybe a little bit just to keep it going in the right direction. But compared to a lot of the racing tracks, the much shorter tracks we've had the last couple of weeks, you're pretty much able to floor it all the way around here. Thing is, though, we've talked about it, tire wear, even though it's a 50-lap race, a big talking point for these drivers.
Talking point as what you're going to see it, especially at a track this fast, that you have so much wear on the tires, just being in the throttle all the time. Just listening to Travis Beckner and hearing what he's doing, he's obviously in the throttle a lot as well, but also just throttle control is still going to be important. Full throttle is, even at a track like this, is never going to be the fast way around the racetrack. You're going to want to feather it a little bit, especially if you go to the bottom of the racetrack. You're going to have good throttle control, or else you're not going to have a good set of corners. So I think that's going to be important as well. You might see drivers trying to run as far low as possible as Witherspoon slaps the wall. You'll see drivers running as far low as possible, just trying to keep the tires on it. But you're going to need some throttle control to get around this track because it is going to wear out a little bit.
Ooh, Dave Weiser goes spinning and around, but we will go from the warm-up session to gridding here for the main event tonight. 15 drivers lined up and ready to go. 50 laps on the board. And we'll see if we can find maybe potentially a new winner or someone else besides Travis Beckner get another win to their name. Jaden Freiberger finally broke the curse a couple weeks ago, got his first win of the season. Jacob Cannon, again, is almost kind of surprising that at this point he hasn't gotten a win because he's definitely shown some fantastic speed.
Tonight, we'll just have to wait and see. He's at the better of Beckner in qualifying, although second ahead of third might not be an advantage on this initial start. We'll see how the bottom rolls, but I think this could be Cannon's night.
could be his night. We'll have to see his finishes since he started back in May at Lincoln Speedway. It's been third, second, fourth, seventh, second, and second. I think last thing he needs is a third, second place finish in a row. He will be starting second tonight with Freiberger leading the charge in first position at the front of the field.
You got him and Freiberger right on the front row. Beckner starting third. He'll have a little bit of work to do to try to get the lead away. Jake Witherspoon, still yet to see what type of speed he might have. He'll start fifth as well, as Beckner's waiting to go, as 04 is ready to go. Bet everyone in Heat 3 is thankful Beckner's not the starter of this initial start after how long he waited, but all part of the rules.
Yeah, a couple of EOLs to the 1, 5, 14, and 31, of which I think only the one is here tonight, so he'll be starting from the back. So Joseph Swan, the black flag for him. I'm also wondering if that might have been what the black flag was, because I don't think he was supposed to race in the heat with the qualifying. Not too sure, but either way, he is going to be starting at the back, where he ended up after that black flag in the heats, as the field lines up out of turn 4. One more lap around with the pace truck before we get going here.
Said no cue for the one, but he passed Carter Coop before the start-finish line regardless, so that was definitely an iRacing given black flag, and he got that penalty added on. So he has some work to do if he wants to get closer to the front, as is Ryan Swan, who's starting actually a lot further back than what he's used to. He's usually been pretty good in qualifying.
See everyone line up. Ooh, a couple bumps here as everyone's getting over each other. Oh,
really stacking up.
Big bumps in the back, 3 wide in the background. As they get ready to go, everyone's waiting to go. It seems like these cars very bogged down from how slow they go and get going. Right how wide the turn is. There's Freiberger jumping on the gas. Off and away we go. Here we go, green and Knoxville for round number 17. Rounding out of turn number 4, it'll be Freiberger leading to the line. Jacob Cannon in a mess here as fireworks are going off. I can't even see the cars as they come out of turn 2.
Fireworks a little late, or at least a little delayed possibly. They're still going off, but Beckner had such a good run out of turn 2. He bullied his way to be inside of Freiberger into turn number 3s. Now they're into turn number 1. That bottom groove a little bit too worn out, and Freiberger learned that the hard way and almost lost the lead, but he's able to fend off the 27. Yes, there's still fireworks going off. I didn't know we had that many.
Pyrotechnics getting raised tonight. Fireworks on the track, fireworks in the front of the field as Jaden Freiberger still is able to defend from Beckner. It's kind of actually held up in behind. Travis Beckner with Cannon, Zabo, Jake Witherspoon, Carter Coop in behind.
I guess we have unlimited fireworks. I think that's a rare iRacing glitch, but we'll deal with it. I don't think it's hurting our performance, but it might be distracting Freiberger. He just cannot get away from Beckner. He had a little bit of a wiggle at a 4. He went back to the bottom, but slid it way up the racetrack, and Beckner tried to wind up a run at a 2, but didn't work. Good line from Freiberger as his field single-filed out a lot already, which is not something we're used to in this series.
Witherspoon up a little bit high. Carter Coop taking advantage to break into the top 5. Works to the bottom part of the racetrack, trying to see if he can make a move on the 04.
Can't quite make it work.
He's still quite there. And it looks like the fireworks finally subsided. I couldn't see anything with some of these cameras with the smoke full on the lenses, but Carter Coop's struggling to work it. Witherspoon able to work that outside already. Looks like that outside lane may be a slightly better place, maybe not the definitive place to go, but definitely easy to keep that run going.
Slaughter around, Swan's around.
That's caution.
A lot of damage to the 8.
And the first caution of the evening will be to Brad Slaughter in the number 8 machine. Take a look and see what happened to him.
Borgmeyer, kind of came together, and Ryan Swan didn't know where to go, and neither did David Weishart. Got a pretty big hit in there as well.
Yeah, I think Weishart was able to avoid getting hit on the right front, might have hit with the body, but yeah, a little tap from Borgmeyer there. Trying to see, get a better angle of that from up above. Yeah, it looks like Brad Slaughter was slow. They were both kind of sliding into the same part of the racetrack, tap around, but losing that nose is going to be big for Brad.
I think that is +2 to Borgmeyer. That was kind of a tough situation. The 8 was kind of sliding up a little bit. The 101 had his run at the top of the racetrack, and they just kind of came together, but that's the decision. And Slaughter's going to try to repair some front-end damage under this caution. Swan's going to come to pit road, repair whatever damage he may have, as Slaughter did not come to pit lane. But compared to the yellows we've seen this season, it's kind of pretty tame first caution, as Freiberger got away with the lead. Beckner got the second. He was on the 24's tail, but he really wasn't quite able to really challenge him that much, as Witherspoon zoomed up zoomed up on the side of Zabo. I don't know what that was for.
One thing I wanted to point out, you can look here. Here's turns 1 and 2. Look at how worn out that inside lane is. You can see a lot of people bottom feeding, not really much up on the rest of the racetrack. But then you go to turns 3 and 4, and it is a lot less worn out, or at least it seems to be a lot less worn out from this angle.
Definitely looks less worn out. You're seeing a lot more drivers try to test the entry to turn 1 on the bottom. You saw Freiberger do it really lap 2 or lap 3, and he almost lost the lead doing it, and that's something you got to be aware of. That line's just not going to work as well.
Getting these drivers lined up 2 by 2 once more. It'll be Freiberger, then Beckner, Cannon, Zabo, and Witherspoon, your top 5, leading the field back to green. And it looks like we'll be down to 14 cars left running on the track. Brad Slaughter not able to get back out in time. And off to the green they will go once more, with Freiberger leading them down. Cannon working the inside with Beckner on the outside, and a big move for Cannon to get to second place.
It was not a good restart for Beckner. He went a little bit earlier than Freiberger and had to lay off, and that's what caused him to have such a bad jump out of turn 4. It lets Cannon get back that second position. Just seems like being second place on a restart at a track with turns this wide, a little bit of a disadvantage.
See Witherspoon working to the inside as Zabo. Carter Coop in behind, still wants to break inside that top 5. Trying to see if he can get there and make a move, at least hold off that spot, as Cannon getting awfully close to the lead.
Yeah, pretty close there. Ran a little bit lower than Freiberger, just not quite able to really challenge him, as he's going to run as far low on the track as he can, but Freiberger had a really good turns 1 and 2 to get away.
Beckner trying to see if he can get back that second place that he lost on the start, but at the moment doesn't look quite quick enough. And then again, we have to mention, you know, we talked about these drivers saving tires, tire wear, big discussion throughout the season, and we mentioned at a particularly fast track like tonight, so you may see some drivers save a little bit early on. No point in really using up your stuff. While it's not a particularly long race, you definitely could feel that way if you got worn out tires. But Beckner gets a great run to the inside of 93, tries to finish him off in turns 1 and 2.
And 93 kind of went up the track trying to get a run out the corner to pull the crossover, and he did just that. Great move. Smart driving by Jacob Cannon to make that crossover work. Beckner's going to try to wind it up himself. Didn't quite get the run that he needed to get back fully alongside Cannon, but he's poking a nose, and that's all Beckner needs to force a 93 up the racetrack, trying to get that spot back. And this time, it's a much tighter slide job, and this time I think he has it.
Looks like he will indeed have it. Jacob Cannon up on the top side. Zabo trying to look in behind as Freiberger breaks out away from the rest of the field. Here's Carter Coop in 5th. Witherspoon looks like he's starting to fall back a little bit. Here comes Bryce Senezek to his inside.
Witherspoon kind of struggling right now. Still don't know why he went up against Zabo on the last yellow, but there was no contact between the two from what I saw. But Witherspoon definitely struggling a little bit, not getting the runs out of the corner he needs right now. And he's got a lot of angry cars behind him. He's got Senezek, Pancari, Jacob Bell, Joseph Swan, and Weishart all lined up behind him.
Yeah, kind of the cork in the bottle at the moment, seems like it. As Senezek can't find a way around Pancari in the middle of his mix. Then look at Jacob Bell, Joseph Swan, almost 3 abreast here in 3 and 4.
In the bottle, eventually it's gonna pop, and right now that's Jake Witherspoon trying to hold on to whatever he can, maybe trying to save tire. And right now Beckner's right there, got to be outside. I think he pulled a pretty surprising slide job on Jaden Freiberger, and it caught Freiberger by surprise.
Caught me by surprise as well. I was not expecting that.
He was so far back, at least what I initially thought he was compared to where he was the last time I saw him, but Freiberger was able to kind of stay calm and the charge, and now he's back to about 4/10 of a second in front.
Yeah, trying to catch up, trying to see if he can make it work here as they work their way through.
Trying everything he can. It's just interesting. We're still seeing these drivers run the bottom of the racetrack, but there's just no banking on this track. So the top side is much harder for that top side to really come in when it's just as flat as it is. And even with it being worn out, that bottom is still a pretty good option. As Beckner is pretty much as close as he was on the last slide job. That time, Freiberger tried to shut it down. He chopped the nose of Beckner because he knew he was going to try that same line again, and it really hurt Beckner.
Yeah, it really hurt him quite a bit.
Right now, you see Freiberger back to the middle in 3 and 4, and that seems to be working all right, but Beckner's still able to get a pretty good fight on it.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. I noticed a big audio error. It sounded like a helicopter was taking off. Looks like I was able to fix it for now. As we go back to the race here, Jake Freiberger and Travis Beckner, there's still nose to tail.
Witherspoon still hasn't let Bryce Senesek by, and Jaden Freiberger is still the race leader, but Beckner is hounding him, and he does seem a little bit faster at this point, as these 4 cars have broken away. Cannon, Zabot in a battle for third, just a second behind this battle for the lead that's now side by side.
Side by side, Travis Beckner going to try to put up the inside. You can see both of them avoiding all that worn-out racetrack on the entry of turn 1, and now it'll be Travis Beckner up on top. Freiberger still not giving an inch.
And that was a great crossover. He backed the corner up. He knew Beckner was going to do it. Now he's going to pull a pretty tight slide job. Beckner has to lift out of it. He forces him out of that situation. Now Beckner, I'm going to go for another slide job. No, Freiberger went to the bottom, kind of shut that down. Beckner saw it coming, went to the top side to wind up this huge run out of turn number 2. Didn't quite keep it all. It's a big block by the 24 Freiberger that time. Now that was a block. You don't get away with much of those, as Cannon got a big run to Beckner because of it.
Yeah, I think Beckner was expecting him to go high. Beckner was committed to the inside and was not expecting the whole station there. Jacob Cannon, as you mentioned, taking advantage of the situation, caught back up to these 3, and then Zabot trailing in behind. I see some exchanging for position here. Joseph Swan, wow, look at this battle here. A big, we talked about cork in the bottle. It is all held up behind Witherspoon in 6th place.
Yeah, but he's actually pulled a little bit of a gap away from these guys. And how about Joseph Swan starting at the very back of the field? He's all the way up to the 7th position right now. So great run for him so far, as now it's a 3-car battle for the race lead. Freiberger slipped a little bit up the racetrack out of turn 4, but still not really close to being challenged by Beckner. But what a run for Swan. Even Brent Carey getting up through there, looking for the 8th position. As Senesek looks like he might have pushed his stuff too hard trying to get Witherspoon. Maybe he's starting to fade, as almost looks like he's trapped on that bottom line.
Oh, meanwhile, up for the lead, Travis Beckner, a big slide to the inside of Freiberger, slide job on him. They do, and Freiberger will try to do the over-under. Back to the inside, Jacob Cannon up in this mix.
Cannon tries to slide up. He tried to take advantage of Beckner getting slid right there. Couldn't quite do it, as Freiberger used up all of the racetrack. A big block by Freiberger. Beckner thought about sending it, but he chose to back out of it. Pretty close move right there, but he still got to the inside of Jaden Freiberger above a lead, as this is happening about 4 seconds in front of 2nd place Carter Coopers. There's contact for 2nd. Cannon and Freiberger had contact. Zabot was in it as well, but Cannon's going to get 2nd. Freiberger starting to fade.
Starting to fade. You got to wonder, maybe did he push a little bit too hard, or is now when Cannon and Beckner are starting to show their stuff, that's where they're pushing. We got 20 laps to go.
Oh my goodness. Brent Carey's actually putting his right rear. Oh, man. Oh, he's not happy with Zabot, trying to pinch him off into the berm. Couldn't quite do it. Freiberger just gave a tap to Travis Beckner right there, as Jaden Freiberger getting a little bit more testy than what we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah, and Jake can't imagine not happy. He's not showing on his face, but I think imagine under the helmet, a little bit frustrated, a little bit annoyed. I think he's definitely earned some payback potentially if he gets back to the 24. But speaking of which, he's looking to the outside of Beckner.
He keeps charging the entry to the corner, almost hitting the back of Beckner, but he's not keeping it on exit. And I just think it's a matter of time before Beckner starts to pull away, as it's still frantic about 7th on back. He got even 6th on back.
Cannon to the inside. A bit of a tap that backfires on him. He gets kind of hung out, and we'll save it for the moment, but oh boy. You can see the frustration there with the driving.
Not much wrong Freiberger did there. He kind of held the middle. Cannon wasn't expecting it. Now he's got a lot of work to do to get back into this fight.
A lot of work to do. We'll see if he can get it done. But a lot of ground to make up. Lost a huge amount with that move. It was desperate, but might have cost him a chance at the win. We said it could have been a chance, could have been his night. Might not be. Travis Beckner looks like it might somehow be his night, even though Freiberger dominated the first half of this race.
Yeah, like you said about the tire saving, you got to wonder if Freiberger wore his stuff off. His one win, it seemed like he was driving so hard that the tires would fall off, and they just never did. It seems to not be the case tonight, where saving our tires definitely played a factor like we expected, and it just seems like he doesn't have much left to fight with, as he's not able to close in much closer to the 27 of Beckner. But lap traffic could always be a factor. They're still pretty far up the road with Ryan Swan and Casey Borgmeyer battling for 13th. They just made contact battling for 13th, but not out of the equation quite yet.
Take a look at this battle for just a brief second as things somewhat settle down near the front. Brent Macari working the inside of Joseph Swan. Witherspoon trying to hold up everyone in behind to hold on to 6th place. And you can see, as you take a look from up above, you can see the big gap. You see the leaders in 1 and 2, the rest of the field in 3 and 4, and you see Carter Coop in the middle of no man's land in 5th place in between.
Wonder if he's having fun or not. P5's good, but dang, I'm not. He showed up for a race. He's not racing. He's just doing hot laps, basically. But I think he'll take it with how crazy he's had some races be, as he's really in a time bracket of his own. No one's really close to his times besides Jake Witherspoon, and even he's not consistent enough. Oh man, he about put Punkari in the wall. 3 wide. Jacob Bell contact. Senesak's there as well, as this will let Witherspoon get well and truly away from that battle, I would think.
I feel like this battle will be far from over as you take on board with Brent Punkari in the middle of all of this. Trying to find a way around. He got pushed back a couple of places. Now he's trying to see if he can get it back here as we got 10 laps to go for these drivers. Ooh, as he gets a little bit high. And you can actually see that berm developing right there on the outside.
Big checkup there. 77 had an issue of some sort. 0935, they're all going to get around. I believe Casey Borgmeyer is having to bring it to pit lane, or he stopped on the racetrack. It did not bring out a yellow, but that's another driver out of this race.
And look, Punkari on the inside trying to make it work all the way to the inside while everyone's on the outside, but that run off the corner, kind of hard to beat. He's kind of making it work, though.
There's nothing else he can do. If you keep your car nice and tight to the bottom, there is still a little bit of grip down there, but you have to keep it so tight to the bottom to make it work, and it's a tough task to pull off.
Bryce Senezak in the middle of this battle, and in the middle of the corner will make a move, tries to get past Joseph Swan, who's glued to that outside lane. It looks like he's not lifting. Brent Punkari has a little bit too much of that berm on the inside.
Just still trying to be as consistent as possible and make up some ground. Battle for the lead hasn't changed. Freiberger just can't make up any ground as Joseph Swan is trying to hold off, 5 different people to try to keep a 7th place finish. This would be one of his...
I was going to say, if we get a late race caution, I think it's definitely going to have to come from this group. They are fighting very hard, and you can see why the gap between them about half a second, and you got 6 cars you can make up here if you can get around them. But that's the big question, is if you can get around them.
Swan's a pretty big fight for him. It'd be his best finish of the season. It would top his 9th place finish, and that was a ton of races ago. As we're coming, I believe, 5 to go next time by, as Travis Beckner's opened up that lead to about 1.2 seconds. He will catch some traffic in the form of Ryan Swan. I don't know if this big pack will end up hurting him, though, but he is pretty close to it.
Yeah, and take a look. You see he's in the same camera frame as this battle. There's Travis Beckner, and behind Jane Freiberger, 1.3 seconds. Zabo and Cannon, you see trying to catch up anything if he can ride that outside lane, but might be too little, too late at this point in time. Taking a look back at this battle as it ends up, who's going to really finish up amongst the rest of the field. Bryce Senezak trying to work to the inside of Swan, absolutely throwing it in there. Might have thrown it too hard. To the outside it'll go. Contact with Swan. He still holds it. 4 wide.
I was wrong. We did see 4 wide. Joseph Swan's probably not going to be happy about that. Here he goes with a big send. Actually put himself in the wall, trying to slide job Jacob Bell. Now he has damage, comes down the racetrack. He's right in front of the race leader with no spoiler now. As Punkari and Bell are going to battle for that 7th position now.
And riding on board with Travis Beckner so he can see his view of this battle, and I think he wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he's really going to have to sit here for 2 laps, and he's got the gap to do it, thankfully, as Freiberger actually got held up behind Joseph Swan. Contact with him and Ryan Zabo. Cannon's going to look for 2nd at the same time that's happening.
I'm going to need to find a better angle because as Beckner's in the middle of this, I don't know if I would do this. This is a big risk for him as he works the inside.
But white flag's out, final lap, so if he can just get through these guys, which it looks like he might, he's home free.
And just like that, it's going to be white flag for these guys in behind him as he works their way around.
Oh,
Beckner sliding out of 3 and 4 as Lakatos Rex in behind. Jacob Bell trying to make a move on Kari, but it'll be Travis Beckner across the line. A dominant win over 3 seconds back to Ryan Zabo as the fireworks fly once more. Wow, that's a lot of fireworks.
Wow.
Both on the track and in the air.
Something went awry there. Whew. I think Cannon and Freiberger had contact on the final lap. Freiberger threw a haymaker trying to get back to him. And there was all sorts of wrecking as Cannon and Freiberger got into it after the checkered flag. But it's, once again, I believe for the 8th time this season, the 27 going to victory lane.
Somehow, some way, he will find his spot in victory lane. And I believe you're right. This will be his 8th win of the season. Pretty much nearly a 50% win percentage with 17 rounds scored. just shy of that mark, and another dominant performance, almost 3 seconds, the gap back to Jacob Cannon. Actually, yeah, I just realized you mentioned that Jacob Cannon somehow snuck up to second place. Let's take a look at that, because we were really involved with that battle at the end, and oh, he had some major damage. Oh, we missed something massive here in behind. So well, I'm assuming this was due to that battle that they caught up with. So here's Jacob Cannon in by, oh, Freiberger tried
that was before, that was after the battle switch. Didn't even see Lakatos crash, but what I saw first was it was Freiberger getting held up by Joseph Swan's damaged car, which sets this all off. He comes down the track to avoid him. Zabo's there. They make contact. Cannon has a big run on all of them. If you remember, Freiberger kind of used up Jacob Cannon earlier. I think Jacob Cannon's going to return a favor here, run Freiberger kind of out of room on the racetrack, forcing him to lift, and at that point, that's probably where Freiberger decided to try to throw a haymaker on him. Did not see how Lakatos spun down the back, but this happens right in front of it. You'll see these guys pass it.
Yeah, here they come. This is coming to the checkered flag here. 3 and 4. Freiberger, big move to the inside, try to take him out, couldn't do it, and then Cannon just able to get ahead of Zabo. Whoa, that was a drag race to the line. We have to rewind that a little bit.
Zabo just did nothing else he could do, really. I mean, Jacob Cannon forced the issue, just trying to get that. There it is.
At the line, David Weishart in the wall with damage.
Yeah, David Weishart wins.
Over there. Wow, that was the battle for second place. I cannot believe we missed that. That's how chaotic this finish was. And then while we're taking a look at the replay, let's take a look back at what happened here with this final battle, because this also got messy at the end.
Yeah, Lakatos, he gets in the back of Senesac, and then David Weishart has nowhere to go while the 13's out of control, and that's how the 13 crashed. And then 77 slips up. Punkeri gets the better of that whole situation. Then 09 puts Bell in the wall, and then here comes Jacob Cannon, P2. And then you see Freiberger go after Jacob Cannon after all that.
And just to sum it all up, let's take a look from what the flagman saw. There's Witherspoon, and in behind, here come to the checkered flag. There's Travis Beckner taking the win. Contact him behind, Jacob Bell on the wall, Lakatos on the wall in the background, and then after that, absolute calamity.
Yeah, Freiberger pretty much hitting Jacob Cannon intentionally after the checkered flag. Wonder how that will be ruled, but pretty wild race. I mean, the battle for 7th is what was the craziest part of this whole race, and it was incredible. And through all that, because of that, we got only 6 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, absolute chaos there at the end of this thing, and these guys put on an absolute show because of it. Travis Beckner taking home the win in very dominant performance. So that explains, I was very surprised why that gap was so big. Coming to the end, there we saw the explanation why. Jacob Cannon finishing in second place, Ryan Zabo in third, Freiberger and Carter Coop your top 5.
Great, solid day for Carter Coop, and Jake Witherspoon actually started getting close to him. We saw that gap much bigger between the two. It only ends up being about 2 seconds, so Witherspoon had some long run speed, but maybe took too long showing it as he gets 6th. Punkeri, Senesac, Bell, and Swan at the top 10. Good finish for Brent Punkeri.
Yeah, great finish for him. Looking down the rest of the order, taking a look at David Weishart there, finishing in 11th. Joseph Swan in 12th. Lakatos, unfortunate for him, back in 13th. Borgmeyer 14th, and Brad Slaughter, another disappointing end to his running, will finish way back down in 15th, last place finisher. Well, I take to have this time. We'll take a look and take the chance to talk to our 3rd place finisher, Ryan Zabo. Ryan, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we completely missed that battle at the end amongst 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We kind of thought it was a write-off. You guys are single file for a while. We looked at that battle for, I think, 6th or 7th place. What on earth happened between you guys? Because I was amazed to see that gap close up so quickly.
Well, I was running right there in 4th. I mean, pretty much the whole race right behind Jacob. And I got past Jacob. I guess Jacob and Jaden got into it or whatever, but I was running 3rd behind them and thought I was actually got to 2nd right there. We caught those lap cars, but yeah, no, it was a fun race, but a hectic ending for sure.
Yeah, you know, looking at this race, we saw the racetrack change quite a bit. We saw you guys looking for a lot of lanes. Was the bottom by the end of any viable, or is it pretty much everyone had to be up at the top, or even the middle for that matter?
Yeah, sort of middle top. The bottom, I guess the exit in the corner you could get a little bit, but right there, the middle groove off, middle bottom you couldn't use that. You had to be up top. We were mainly using the slider line, which slid the bottom most of the time to get whatever wet was left up top.
All right, well, Ryan, solid run there, chaotic finish, able to squeeze home a 3rd place finish. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and with that, we'll move on to our second place finisher. And Jacob, I gotta apologize. I feel like I might have jinxed it for you. We were talking just before we got going. Green, or who you were. I'm assuming you were hoping to not get his third second place finish in a row, but unfortunately, that's where he ended up.
Yeah, made some contact right there with the 24. I don't know what him and 10 was going on, but yeah, I accidentally slid up into him, and the car pushed tight after that. I tried letting off and turning left, and there was nothing I could do. And then after the race, he just straight lines us.
Yeah, and even at the end there, because I mentioned it to Ryan, we kind of rode off the top four as we figured you guys figure mostly in the same order. You guys were distant enough. Somehow completely missed absolute calamity across the last lap or two. Walk us through what on earth happened there.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how I kept the tires on this car. The tires started to let go there with about 5 to go, and I just told myself, you know what, we're gonna put it to the top, see what happens. If it sticks, it sticks. And yeah, when we seen the wreck right there on the front straightaway going into turn 1, I just seen the car sitting in the middle, and I was determined to get to second place.
All right, well, Jacob, I know, again, still looking for that win. I'm sure it's going to come at some point before the season's done. Yeah, I definitely have the speed, but it still is another solid, consistent performance for you.
Appreciate it. I want to go ahead and thank my sponsors, Majulsi Speed Shop, CFM Esports, VP Racing Fuels, Longhorn Chassis, David Cannon's Lawn Care Service, Schaefer's Racing Oil, NJB Designs, Sweet Victory Apparel, Tac 3 Defense, Hoosier Racing Tires, and I want to thank y'all for broadcasting.
All right, well, Jacob, congratulations in second place. Good luck to you for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
All right, and with that, we'll move on to last, but certainly not least, once again, for the 8th time this season, going to be talking to Travis Beckner here at the end of this race. Travis, I almost want to give you the moniker the closer, because the last couple of times we've seen, like, you're kind of out of it. You're not necessarily the fastest car. You're there, but not quite there. But we saw you in the middle of the race after that back and forth of Freiburg. You found a way through and never looked back after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I was stuck behind him because Freiberger was also still quick, but the car felt really good to me the longer the run went along, and was able to hook the bottom really good in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, that slider line was what was killing me the most, because I don't know. He was running that line. I was running that line. It was just nowhere to go. I had to somehow set him up out of 4 and get down into 1 and 2 somehow, and I was able to do it. And then I threw the slider the last time, and Cannon threw the slider, and he got stuck behind Cannon.
Yeah, and I also wanted to ask you too. You somehow managed to really get down to business when it comes to saving tires, saving your equipment for the end of this race. How do you manage to do it? Was it just throttle control throughout? Because we talked about before, theoretically you could floor it around this place, but at the beginning, were you taking it easy with that?
I mean, really, the whole race, I wasn't going 100%. I was going, like, for the most part, I was going like 65, 75%, somewhere in between there. Just didn't want to push the car too hard, and if we had another late race caution. This time I didn't screw myself over and wreck the lap cars. But yeah, that got a little...
I thought that's what was going to happen with that way they were battling.
Yeah, I was watching the battle. I was in the Discord call with pretty much all the lap cars that were in that whole entire debacle there. And it was funny. I came up on the inside. They were like, oh, crap, Travis is here. And yeah, I seen the line they were running. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna change my line in 1 and 2. I'm not gonna run that slider line. I'm not gonna do the same thing I did at Cedar Lake the other week. I'm gonna hook the bottom and pass them all.
Well, congratulations, because that worked out for you. You're able to take home the victory with a solid margin to boot as well.
Yeah, I'm happy. I finally got the win in the Hawaiian shirt. Every single time I wear this, I mess around with my dad, saying I got Jimmy Buffett flowing through my veins right now. But that was for you, Grandma. Jimmy Buffett reference. But yeah, before I go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Hendry County Motorsports Park, Central Mobile Home Sheds and Trailers, Wilson Race Cars, Cosman at Splash Go Graphics for making this beautiful paint scheme. Y'all taking the time out of your day to come broadcast this. I had a lot of fun this race. We're starting to get the car count back a little bit. I mean, preferably, I would still like to have full fields, but we're getting back up in the teens again, so I'm really happy about that. Oh,
Yep.
also, y'all, I don't know if I said y'all taking time out of your day to come broadcast this. Best broadcast on iRacing. I don't care what anybody says.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, you're just a little warning here. In the middle of the race, you're gonna hear it's gonna sound like a helicopter taking off. I had to fix my audio mid race. Thankfully, I fixed it for that fantastic battle at the end. So, just a warning there, Travis. Thanks for the compliments. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, it's going to be wrapping up interviews here from Knoxville. And after a very entertaining battle throughout pretty much most of the race, and especially a cutthroat battle there at the end, Travis Beckner emerging through the smoke of both the tires and the fireworks here tonight.
Yeah, the fireworks were definitely the biggest challenge, I think, for Travis Beckner besides Jaden Freiberger. But once he got that pass done, it was pretty much smooth sailing. Freiberger, fast, short run, but tires didn't last. I think that was his main issue. And obviously the battle for second, he got caught up in anyways. But the battle for seventh was one of the craziest battles of the season. This track was crazy. We saw the bottom kind of come back in for some drivers, but really it got all the way to the outside guardrail. And it was pretty frantic racing. And we saw Brent Pincari come out on top of that whole battle as well as Witherspoon. But Beckner, he's too hard to beat. Jacob Cannon still yet to take him down, and so many other drivers yet to really beat him in a 1v1 challenge like Freiberger right there. So still waiting on a lot more races that are going to be just as fun as that one, because this one was pretty good.
Yep, this one's pretty good, and still more to come. That's going to be wrapping up things here for the VDRA Late Model Series and Knoxville. We were scheduled to have a race next week on August 20th. That's been pushed back due to a major dirt race event where actually quite a few of the drivers in this series might be competing, so definitely stay tuned to that event. It'll be an off week next week on August 20th. We'll be coming back August 27th. Lernerville Speedway for the Steel City Shootout. 50 laps on the board for that race as well. But that's going to be wrapping up things here from SimTV coverage here at the VDRA Late Model Series. My name is Finny DeCuna here with Connor Horn. Thank you for watching.